Welcome, guys. This is the fifth project in the project series, and today our aim is to create an expense tracker. Expense tracker is an app which tracks all the expenses or the money spent by the user and store it in the local storage. So, without wasting the time, let's jump into the project. For the initial step, the packages for this project I've included is the share preferences. Share preferences is a package which allows the user to store the data locally. So when the app restart, the data stored data does not like get lost. And the second is the Google fonts for giving the text styles. So these are the dependency which I have included for this project. And let's start the coding. For the coding, I have included the Flutter material app library, material.dart, and let's begin the coding. For which, firstly, I want to like call the main function. Inside main function, uh, we have run app function in which we have to pass the full screen to which the app should navigate. For that, let's make our first screen. The first screen is this, and let's name it as expense tracker app. And we want to return a material app. So let's replace a container with a material app. And inside material app, we have to like define some of the properties like title, and the title is expense tracker, and other properties like we can include, we can give it a debug show checker, banner as false, and and the final thing we can give a home. For home, we have to make another screen. It is a screen which is navigated after this screen. So basically, this is our home page. So for this, let's make it a stateful widget. Cause the things inside the screen will be changing its state. So let's name it expense tracker page, and this is returning a container. So let's copy its name and push it over. So this is our basic app or the project setup for this, and also forgot to pass the screen over here. So this is the project setup for this project, and here it is returning a container. So before proceeding further, let's create some of the widgets which will be like using constantly in our app. So for creating the widget, let's make another file called widgets. Widgets.art, and inside which we can make multiple widgets like widget, we call widget title text, which requires a string, and a text, and let's return a text, and the data is text. Let's give it a style, and in style I am calling Google Fonts dot poppins, and inside poppins I'm giving the font size as 24, and I can also give font weight as bold, and The next thing I can include is color, which will be black. So this is our first widget which we are including, and we want like multiple text, so we can like give or make like multiple widgets, like one for outline text and one for expense text and one for total expense text. So let's replace the name, and for this let's give it a outline text, and inside which I can change the font size, which will be 16, and color will be green. And here it is expense text, whose font size will be 20, and color is black. You can also like change here the weight of the font, and this is the total expense text. This is like slightly bigger than the others. Let's make it as a 50, and which is bold. So these are the some widgets which we are going to include in this project, and the final widget which I want to make is like the expense container, which will be like containing the name of our expenses. So let's copy this, and let's place it to container, which also takes the text, but it returns a container, and inside container you can give height which is like 80, or width is 350. You can also give the decoration as a box decoration, and border radius of circular 25, and you can also give color. So color will be like black 12. Let's format this. We want to, so this is the thing, and we also want to like add something or give it a child here, which is like the text. So let's format it. For the text, we want text here, and we can like change the size, because this is like slightly bigger, and the weight too. You can also give a padding here, which is the only bottom of 10. So these are the basic widgets which we have made and which we'll be using in our project. So let's start with the coding, and this is a setup, project setup. So let's start with the coding. For that, firstly, let's build some of the variables which will be like constant throughout the app. So for making some of the variables, let's go to the here, override, and let's include some of the variables, which is like text editing controller type, and we want here as a expense controller. And this, you can copy this and change this expense here to amount. And the another variable which we want to like include is the list, because we want all the item or expenses as amount. to be added in a list which is of type string, and let's name it expenses, which is empty at the first. And the next thing we want to include is the double type total amount, and which is also initially at 0. So these are the variables which we are like going to use in our project. And uh, let's move forward. So we have made the widgets, we have made the variables which we are going to use. Now let's make some functions which we are like going to use. Firstly, let's call override again, or let's create some of the function. So firstly, let's create a function to add expenses. So this will be of type void. Void function, let's name it add expenses. Yes, add expenses, which will like first let's call the set state function, inside which contains a string type variable called new expense, which is equals to the expense controller, which is of type text editing controller. So we can call it a like text. We can get the text inside the text controller. Copy this again, paste it here, and change it to amount text, and here to amount controller. So these two variables be storing the things inside the text field, and we can also like make uh, another variable for adding, which is like the amount, which will be of type double, and we want to add a phase for changing it into a integer form, or giving it a like default value. So these are the variables which we'll be like using in this function at expenses. So after this, let's write a condition. If the things inside the new expense variable dot is not null or not empty, and amount is greater than this amount is greater than 0, then we want all these things which are inside inside these controller to be added in the list which we made before. Added in the list. For adding the items in the list, we'll call the function, we'll call the list name, which is this list expenses, and add function, inside which we want to add Like we want to add new expenses and amount text. So inside the string inside the text field will be added inside this list, which is known as expense. And the things we also want to do is the total amount. We also want to like increase the total amount will be added as amount. And the other thing we want to do is to like clear this text field once this is done. So we call this and clear amount dot clear. So this is our function for the adding the things inside the list or adding the expenses. And another function we want to create is to like let's create it for the clear expense too. Void, let's call it a clear expense, and inside which we want to call a set state function which clean the list or the things we have like added in the list will be like clear. So for deleting the things we'll call the function clear. So all the items inside the list which we are like added to this function will be like deleted. And we also want to like set total amount to the 0, and that's it. So we have made a function for adding the expenses and for clearing the expenses. And for the main thing, now we are creating the function to save the expenses or to save the expenses in the local storage so our data will not be lost. For that, for this, I'm making the function of future type, which is like the which will returning a void. And let's call this function save data. Uh, so this function will be of future type. So we should include async here. And we are using here for saving the data in the local storage, the shared preferences. So let's initialize the shared preferences. Shared preferences, and let's give it a name. And here let's call a wait keyword. So for waiting till the set preferences does not get initialized. For initializing, let's call get initialized. And after this, let's call the set state function. And after calling set state function, we want to like save the data into the local storage. So let's call the shared preferences and paste it over here. Firstly, for saving the string, we are calling the function get string list. And for the keys, I'm using expenses. And this is like should not be null. So let's give it a default value if this not works. And you can also give it same for a total amount. Let's call this and call the get double function, which is for total amount, and this should also not be null, so we should give a default value. So this is our function for storing or saving the data in the local storage. And let's call this function over here, like to save all the data in the local storage when these function are called. And we have made the function for save data, and now we can make the function to load this data too. For loading, we can copy this and just change the name to load, because once the data is saved and whenever the app is open again, then this function will be called to get all the saved data from here. So this is like more similar to the thing we have made below. So this is the function, and that's it. So or all the function is created, which is and variables are created, which is used which will be like we are using in this project. So let's start with designing the body. For designing the body, firstly we want to like we can replace this container with a scaffold. And inside scaffold, firstly I'm calling or giving a background color which will be like white. And let's try to build our app first. Just saying like we have a build error, we have to check it what it says. We have to like give it an end sign here, so the error is resolved. And let's try to build our app till when our app is building. Let's proceed forward. So firstly let's call uh, the body, and for the body we want a column widget to arrange all the things inside a column as a layout. And inside children we can give firstly a size box, because we are not making a barrier of height 20. The another thing we want to call is again a column which will containing a children, and we can call our widgets which we made earlier here. Firstly the outline text, this one, and here we can pass the text which is this month spent. And you can also call the total expense text, which is um, the variable which we made earlier, total amount, this one, this one. So we can give it over here. So let's check our app and delete it again. So this is our like check thing. The thing we are forgetting is to add something over here. It's like spin stacker text will be text, and the thing we want to add is the rupee sign. So for the rupee sign, let's go over here and copy the rupee sign, and we can paste it over here. Let's rebuild our app again, and we have to like rebuild our app, not refresh. So the rupee sign will become. Now let's proceed to another thing. Let's add a size box here. Inside size box, I can give it a height of 10, and now I can make some text fields uh, for adding uh, the data. So inside the text field, I'm calling the controller, which is of expense controller, which is expense controller, and we can also give a decoration over here. And inside decoration, I'm calling input decoration, and inside which I want a label text as a expense, and we also want a border, outline border, and we can also give a suffix icon, which I'm calling the icon widget, and of add box now. So this is our text field, which will be containing all the things, and let's copy it once again for making it similar for amount, and let's replace this with amount. We can separate it by giving it a size box and 520 text field. And after the text field, let's also include some of the buttons for adding the text and deleting, for calling the function, for which I'm calling the row, and inside row calling the children's, and I'm calling the widget elevated button, which on pressed calls a function add expenses, and the child is the text, which is uh, add expenses, add expense, and similarly I can call it once again and change this to clear clear expense, and this is for expense. And we can also give it a main axis alignment as the space between, and we can also give it a padding. So padding we want a vertically of 20. So we also have called our buttons, and now we just wanted uh, to show the results. Uh, so we are calling the row once again, and inside which uh, let's call the outline text again. Inside which I can give the text as this month expense, and I have to give this inside the children, and the main axis alignment of start. I can copy similar and add it over here below this above this text field, which is padding symmetric. The color pen and add new expenses. So this is done, and also include this in a padding and replace this thing with this. So we have made all the things. The only thing which is left is to like include uh, the list view builder, which will be of item builder of context and index. So inside which we can return the widget we have made as a expense container. The thing we want as a text here is expenses inside of index. So this is done, and we can wrap it inside a widget, which is so we have called here index, and we want to wrap it inside the expanded widget. So this is it. We have included and made all the things, and let's build our project again. So for building, this, let's build it again, and we are getting some error. So like we can stop the build and build it again. So app is installing. So this is the things we have like added. The only thing we can do is to add it in a center and refresh it. So all the things will be coming inside the center, and we have added this in the wrong place. We can tool this here. So this is our required app, and we can remove a dollar sign for here, and let's rebuild the app. And so firstly, let's clear all the expenses and try to add new. Firstly is for we can add it for food, and the amount is like 800. And we can add expense, and other for travel we can add amount of 4,000. We can add as a expense. And so the UI shows the things we are added here, and the month, the total spend money over here. The thing we can also do is like uh, where we are like adding the items which is inside the, we can do this. The thing I'm so let's try to add the new thing. uh Bag, the bag is of like 600. That's that. So this is our app, and the main highlight of this app is like when we like close or restart the app, we can still get all the things stored. in the app. See, like the things we have added, the only thing it is like not aligned. So that's it for today. And today we made the expense tracker app. So let's meet in another project. Thank you for watching and like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.